Hi everybody, this is Corinne Forrest, and this week I want to talk to you about 4 thoughts that people with high self-worth think. All right, so let's talk self-worth. This is actually going to be the first in a series that I'm doing on self-worth, and this is kind of driven by what I'm seeing and hearing from clients and a lot on social media, that after a year of this global pandemic, people are starting to get very, very negative with how they're talking to themselves. And that is kind of how I am defining self-worth, is about how you talk to yourselves. Now, I want to go on record right at the beginning as saying that I believe all people are 100% worthy just by being human. You don't have to earn worthiness. You can't lose worthiness. There is no worthiness scale in the world. Like certain people like Mother Teresa are not more worthy than certain other people in the world. So everybody in the world is 100% worthy. I believe that. But I don't think a lot of people do, and they struggle with this idea of where their value is, where they put their self-worth. So emotions are governed by our thoughts, the thoughts that we think in our head. And confident and happy people have a high self-worth. And that means that they're thinking thoughts that are increasing their self-worth all the time, or at least not letting other things decrease their self-worth. So what are some of these thoughts that people with high self-worth are thinking about? Well, the first one is that people with high self-worth understand where mistakes fit in the grand scheme of things. There are lots of things, like there is no such thing as failure, and you only fail if you fail to pick up the lesson, that kind of thing. But a lot of people take failures really to heart, and that's where the negative self-talk starts to come in. It's like, oh, you're so stupid. How could you do that? You know better. Just that kind of thinking. But you have to understand that mistakes are just a natural part of life, and you move on. Now, I think this comes from my engineering background, my engineering brain here, but I like to think of things as experiments, because experiments don't have failures. You only have discoveries that didn't fit the hypothesis. So this allows me to separate me, the ego, self-esteem part of me, from just the experimenter who's kind of looking at data and seeing how things turn out. So my second tip is don't get caught up in the trappings. This means that your self-worth should not be defined by how much money you have, how many assets you have. Do you wear the current fashionable clothes, or did you get the right degree from an Ivy League college? None of that matters in our self-worth. Your self-worth should not be governed by how many zeros there are in your bank account, how many assets you own, what kind of assets. Do you own a Cadillac versus a Chevy? Do you wear the right clothes? Are you always in this season's fashions? Or did you get the appropriate degree from an Ivy League school? Your self-worth shouldn't be tied up in any of those things. So don't get caught up in the trappings of life. Now, to this particular topic is huge. And so I created a free download for you, and you can get that at CorinneForrest.com. And it's called Get Real with Yourself. And it's just a little guide that has 11 things that you think your self-worth is based on, but it's not. So it goes through 11 of these things like money and other things like that. But it also has the turnaround. And as an example, one of the things is your self-worth is not governed by your productivity. Oh, my heart hurts when I say that, because I love a good to-do list, checklist, and I can feel really good at the end of the day if I look at my list of 15 things and I got 14 things checked off. So that is one of the things on the 11 list. And then I have a turnaround to how to turn around your thinking. And the way to turn around the productivity one is it's not how many things that you've gotten done, it's did you get the important things done. So I'm learning to switch my thinking that even if I only did one thing on my list of 14 or 15, was it the most important thing? So CorrineForrest.com, and you can pick up the free download, Get Real with Yourself. All right, my third tip is don't chase happiness. Happiness being an emotion, again, it's governed by our thoughts. So you have to understand that your emotional state, positive or negative, is really just a reflection on your emotional state. It has nothing to do with your self-worth. So when you do have an emotion maybe that you're not comfortable with at any given time, you have a couple of options. You can accept the emotion and just sort of watch it with curiosity and say, wow, I'm feeling kind of plucky today. And then have that this too shall pass mentality, because emotions are usually very temporary. And your second choice is you can actively seek a better thought about something. And I'm going to pick a real simple example of, I am not a fan of doing dishes. And yet, we eat 3 times a day. This past year, I've been eating 3 times a day at home. I have dishes all the time. So I can think to myself, oh God, I have got to do the dishes again. And I can be angry about that thought. Or I can say to myself, I love clean countertops. So when I get all the dishes put away in the dishwasher, I'm going to get something that I like. And then that thought leads me to more of a determined feeling, like I'm going to get the result I want, my clean countertops, by taking the 5 minutes it takes to put all the dishes in the dishwasher and wash the pots and pans. So my fourth tip is that people with high self-worth own their emotions. They don't blame their emotional state on other people. For example, if let's say someone came up to me and said, I hate your blue hair, it's ridiculous. I would probably be kind of taken aback and look at them and think to myself, this is an inside thought, there must be something wrong with them. I clearly don't have blue hair. And then I would probably go on with my day and never give what they said to me another thought. So you don't let other people define you and control your emotions. Now, the flip side to this one is that we don't get to play the victim either. And a lot of times the victim mode with regard to your emotional state sounds like if only statements. If only my daughter put all her stuff away off the bathroom counter, I'd be much less frustrated. If only my husband put his own dishes in the dishwasher, I'd be much less angry about doing the dishes. So I get to control my emotions. I get to choose the thoughts I think about the events that happen in my life. So to recap, the 4 thoughts that people with impressive self-esteem think is 1, they know where mistakes fit in the larger scheme. 2, they don't get caught up in the trappings of life. 3, they don't chase happiness as an emotion. And 4, they own their own emotions and don't let anybody else control how they're feeling. So I will leave you this week with my lighter side comment, and it is that be the kind of woman that when your feet touch the floor in the morning, the devil says, oh crap, she's up. So we'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.